What is going on, everybody? We are live coming to you for with another business automation training. This is week number 2 of 4 that I'm going to be doing with you guys live. We are going to talk about business automation. If you guys are executives, personal, work for somebody else, this will apply to you as well. A lot of what we talk about is automating your processes, your systems, and making you guys more effective so that you can do more with less. So I'm going to wait just a minute here, let you guys jump on here. If you are on with me, say what's up. If you guys want to learn anything today, just let me know what you guys are here for today. Again, this is business automation training. This is a course I'm putting together and providing some of this for free to my audience, to my friends on Facebook, to people who sign up. If you want to join me on Zoom, you can go down to the link below or go to tonyjavier.com. Make sure you type in www.tonyjavier.com. It'll take you to a Zoom sign up where you can join me, and I am going to maybe bring some people on from Zoom if they want to join the conversation later. What's going on, Jeremy Faust? I think I saw you saying hi. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. So today we are going to cover a lot of good stuff. So I'm going to recap last week, and I'm going to jump into some really good stuff this week. Again, that's going to help you guys to hyper optimize what you guys are doing with your processes, your systems, your day-to-day lives, organizing your schedule, and all that good stuff. So looking forward to it. Wait just another minute for some people to jump on. If you're here with me, say what's up. All right, so I'm going to jump right into it. So let me share. Got some screens going here, so I'm going to share on Zoom, and then I'm going to go back onto StreamYard. All right, there we go. All right, let's do this. So again, this is business automation training. All right, so last week, we talked about the perfect day. So this for me is a perfect day. If I could visualize a perfect day, this is exactly what it would be. Actually, sorry, let me go back here. So I like to wake up early. So you guys have maybe read the book, The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. It's a really good book. So it talks about waking up early so that you guys can have time to yourself to get yourself going for the day. So that's one of the things that is really tough for people is when they wake up, they just kind of jump into their daily lives, meaning they jump into work, they jump into emails and all that good stuff. So rather than doing that, I like to work on myself. You guys, we're going to talk about morning routine here, but part of my morning routine is drinking a big glass of water to get hydrated. When you guys are tired, sometimes you just need to hydrate and drink some water. So I drink a lot of water first thing in the morning to get myself going so that if I don't drink another drop of water during the day, at least I know that I hydrated in the morning. I like to do a little meditation, kind of get my mind right, get it going for the morning. You guys know the benefits of meditation. For those of you that like to perform at a high level, which is probably why you're here, just 5 minutes of meditation can have a dramatic impact on your day, the way you think, your energy, your clarity, the decision making that you have, the way you react to things. There's so many great benefits to it. Exercise, you guys know the benefits of exercise. Even just 20 minutes a day. Remember, from zero exercise to 20 minutes brings the most benefits. So if you can get 20 minutes of exercise, that's awesome. Anything over 20 minutes still brings benefits, but after 20 minutes, there's not quite as much benefit for every minute, but there's still benefits. So 20 minutes a day is optimal. If you can get more than that, great. Execute a full morning routine. We'll talk about the full morning routine here in a little bit. I am going to recap the daily progress planner. This is something that I've provided in a lot of my seminars and masterminds and things like that people have gotten tremendous value out of, and that I have gotten tremendous value out of each day that I do this. It's just one page that helps you to organize your day, to get energy, and to make sure that you've got your day planned and ready. And then 8 a.m. doing the top 3 things on your list. We're going to talk about that a lot more later in this session. If you can take a lunch break, I don't always get a big lunch break in, but if it's perfect, if I can get 1 hour to myself just to break free from the day-to-day grind. If you can get 30 minutes, that's great too, but I like to try for 1 hour. 3 nutritious meals. A lot of us that are busy, we're on the go. So rather than snacking and doing fast food and all that good stuff, plan 3 meals that you can stick to in the day and have those as really good, nutritious meals. I actually watched a documentary on fasting the other day. For those of you who do intermittent fasting, they say that snacks may not be as good for you as they used to say that it used to be, because your body needs longer periods of time to not have to digest. So for me, I know when I snack a lot during the day, my energy isn't quite as good. So maybe spreading those meals out to where it's 3 good, nutritious meals as opposed to a lot of snacks during the day. We're going to talk later today about work sprints and time blocks. And we're also going to talk about periods of rejuvenation and ending your day at 5 p.m. Remember, if you time block your day to where it ends at 5 o'clock rather than 8 p.m. or 7 p.m. or later in the day, it's Parkinson's law. You can, if you're working late at night, if you, like what I started doing not too long ago, dedicating yourself to ending at 5 p.m., you will figure out how to be optimal and scrunch your day so that you get everything done by 5 p.m. Parkinson's law. If you stretch it out to 8 p.m., you'll probably get about the same amount done as if you tell yourself and that you have until 5 p.m. to complete your task. So this is the perfect day. Getting up early, getting myself right in the morning, executing these things through the day. And if I even do half of these things, I actually feel really good. If I do very little of these things, I know that my day is not going to be as good. If I do most of these, my day is unbelievable. There's nothing that stops me. And remember, this takes a little bit of time to do, but every minute that you put into this, I guarantee you're probably going to get 2 to 3 minutes out of it in productivity, in extra energy, and just it's a huge return on investment. So I talked about the morning routine last time as well. This is my morning routine. I like to wake up early, like I said, drink a lot of water, meditate, exercise, get some education in. Just 15 minutes of something motivational on YouTube, listening to an audiobook. We say that we don't have enough time to read, a lot of us. Once I decided or figured out that my attention span wasn't as good as it used to be, and that I didn't like to read as much, I started downloading audiobooks. And when I go on walks, when I drive, when I work out, I put on Audible, I put on YouTube, and just get some really good inspirational stuff. If you can do that in the morning and get some just really good nuggets of motivation or tips to kind of get yourself through the day, it's totally worth it just to spend that little bit of extra time to get that motivation and energy behind you. I talked last time about journaling, just writing down, for 5, 10, 15 minutes, like what you want in the day, what is going on, what are the obstacles that could be, that could block you in any given day, and make sure that you write those down so you can kind of visualize and get it out there and maybe plan for it so that you're not as blocked as you potentially could be. In fact, there's a study that shows that when you journal 15 minutes in the morning, there's something that happens with your mind. I think it's kind of similar to meditation and some of the other things where you're more clear, you're feel-good hormones are higher. There's just a lot of great benefits of journaling. I'm going to cover the daily progress planner that I went over on a previous day, and then just have a little fun and love in the morning. So, when you play with your dogs, when you play with your kids, when you kiss your wife, all that good stuff, you get some oxytocin. So, do more of that. And this right here, once you get your morning routine down, it shouldn't take more than about an hour. If you really hyper optimize this and you get a little bit of every single one of these things, it may only take you 30 minutes, but usually it's about a good hour of morning routine. If you do some of these things longer, like meditate longer, exercise, it shouldn't take you more than an hour and a half to 2 hours. And if you don't have an hour in your day to do this in the morning, then there's something really wrong. So make sure you take that time for yourself in the morning, get that morning routine. And I promise you, every minute that you do this in the morning, it's going to bring back 2 to 3 times that back in return. So let's see, other way. All right, daily progress planner. So I went over this. So this is something that I came up with from the last 10 years of having a high performance coach. Sorry about that, high performance coach. And we talked about all of these things: how to be more productive, how to be more happy, how to be more clear, how to be more energetic, how to grow more as a person, as a business owner, as just a human being in general. And not only did I get this from my high performance coach and I going through all these exercises, I've also studied high performers. The high performers that I'm talking about are people that have the same amount of time that we have, but they have $100 million, $200 million, billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar companies. And again, they have just as much time as we do. So what do they do differently than the average person does? And these are the things that they do. They figure out how to be more productive. They practice gratitude. They do all of these things. I'm just going to go over them one by one again, because we did cover them in a previous video. So this is the first part of it, productivity. What can you delegate? What can you delete? What can you defer? What can you get off your plate that you do not need to be doing now, that you can delegate to someone else, that you can delete off your list that doesn't matter, what you can defer to someone else, or defer until a later date so that you can do the most productive things right now. What are you grateful for? Just having gratitude in the morning and making sure that you realize how good you have it. If you're in the U.S., you have a business, even if you're in the U.S. and you have a bed and clean water, you are better off than 50% of the world, if not more than 50% of the world. So just practice a little gratitude when something happens throughout the day will help us to be centered and realize that we don't have it so bad. Even if a deal falls through, even if a contractor steals money from us, or whatever business you're in, and you've got issues in your business. Just have a little gratitude and realizing how good we have it is a huge deal. 3 results to achieve today. Remember to choose 3 things to achieve today. Do those first thing in the morning. We'll talk about that in a little bit, getting clear on what's the most important. Doing some things that provide energy to you. Pick one healthy thing you can do each day, one fun thing you can do, one nice thing for someone else. And then 3 words that describe who you want to be today. My go-to are presence. I want to be present. I want to be energetic, and I want to be confident. And then I switch them up as time goes on, because it changes where, I feel like something's down and I put that word back into it. So if I'm feeling, stressed, let's say, one of my words might be calm. So picking 3 words throughout the day or at the beginning of the day to make sure that you subconsciously realize who you want to be today, so it helps you grow as a person. And then don't forget to check up at the end of the day. Rate yourself. How could you have made that a 10 today? If you look at the end of the day, how you were, how do you rate yourself, and how could you make it a 10? And that way you can kind of check up on yourself and inspect what you expect from yourself. And then remember, we talked about the 3 power days. These are the 3 power days, organizing your days into different days. 2 days off. I like to have 2 days off where I'm completely off with no work, nothing, just completely off and detached. I like to have 2 open days where I have no appointments. So that's a day for me to catch up. That's a day for me to work on marketing plans. That's a day for me to just get organized in my office, do the things that I don't get to do on productivity days, which is the last day here. Productivity days are where you have your meetings, where you're selling, you're meeting with people, you're going to appointments, you're doing the things that produce the most results. It's typically selling, it's meeting with your team. It's those things that are face-to-face that you need to schedule in your calendar. And again, I'm going through these quickly because, I've got the previous video on these. So, need to make sure that you watch those. And then the activity assessment that I went over last week. What activities are you doing? So listing those activities, prioritizing, realizing what you need to keep, delegate, or delete, and make sure you go through and look at priority 1, priority 2, and priority 3. If they are things you love to do, they drive results, they're highly important, those are the things you typically keep on your list. Priority 3 things are the things you hate to do, that are low in results, that are not important to you. Those are the things that a lot of entrepreneurs do and fill their calendar up or fill up their to-do list with that. Need to delete those things out. Or at the very least, if you feel like they have to be done in some capacity, delegate them to someone else that can do those so that you can concentrate more on priority 1 activities that drive the most results. All right, so we're going to get into some new stuff here. So I just covered last week's training, what I did in last week's training. So make sure you go back and watch that if you didn't. So I'm going to jump into some new things here. So I talked about morning routines and how important they are. The most 2 important hours that you have in your day are the hour that you wake up and the first hour of work. So I'm going to cover the first hour of when you wake up. So what happens? Do you check your text messages? Do you check your emails? Do you check social media? And do you react to other people's to-do lists? Would you say that you're more reactive or you're more proactive? So most people in the morning, when they get up, first thing they do is grab their phone. So first off, I keep my phone in the other room. I put it in the bathroom. I put it on airplane mode so that I don't have a temptation in the morning to pick it up in the middle of the night or first thing in the morning and start checking other people's to-do lists, which are text messages, which are emails, and then also even just checking social media. So again, high performers, a lot of them that I've studied, the first hour at least of their day is to them. They meditate, they exercise, they play with their kid, their dog, their family. They get themselves ready to go. They plan their day, whether it's a to-do list or the daily progress planner that I shared. They are proactive instead of reactive. So instead of picking up your phone and start reacting to the things that are coming at you, be proactive and plan your day and know what is priority to you. Because if you don't prioritize those things and be proactive and know what's important to you, you're just going to start going into a rabbit hole of unproductivity, and the whole day is going to be reactive. So remember the morning routine I went over. This is the first hour of your day. The first hour of your day needs to be filled with things that energize you. Emails, text messages, some of that stuff, especially social media these days, can really drain you. So having an hour of yourself where you are just filling your tank, you are recharging your battery, you are putting gas in the tank for a full day of hyper productivity. So the other most important hour, so I'm talking about the most important 2 hours of your day. First one I just talked about, the first hour that you wake up. The first hour of your workday is almost important. So hopefully by the time you get to work, you still haven't checked text messages, you still haven't checked emails, you still haven't checked social media. The first hour of your workday is going to be the most clear hour that you have to make decisions, to work on projects, to do things that drive the needle forward on your business and whatever it is that you are going to jump into. So again, most productive, most energetic part of your day. Do you check emails? Do you get distracted? Do you do your one thing or three things? So on the daily progress planner, I had a space for three things that you need to do that are the most important. So the first hour of your day, rather than checking emails and getting distracted, so again, even though you're at work and not at home, you still need to figure out how to use that first hour to do the most important things. So typically you have, again, three things that are on your list that are most important. Do those first, but pick one thing first, because there might be one thing that takes you a full hour. And I think I may get into this a little bit later, but when you dedicate 50 minutes of laser focused time, that's the optimal time that you need to have without distractions. Actually, we'll talk about that a little bit, so I won't get too far into it. But schedule that first hour for your most important things. Is it a marketing plan that you need to do? Is it a money you need to raise for a deal? Is it putting together projections to give to investors or to raise money for a deal? What is the one thing that is most important that you can do, that you can dive into right now and laser focus and get that done? And if you get that done before your first hour, then you can jump on to your second and third thing that is most important. So again, you have the most energy, you have the most productivity the first hour. So dedicate your time to that rather than jumping into things that don't matter as much, which are emails, text messages, social media, and those types of things. So as we know, or as you guys know, the world is completely full of distraction. Think about all the distractions we have. So first of all, there's a study that shows that when you are interrupted, even if it's someone who just stops into your office and says, "Hey, I've got a quick question," it takes on average 15 minutes for you to get back to the point that you were at previously. And when I say at, that is you're in something, you're focusing, you're concentrated, you're in a flow, you get interrupted, even if it's just for a few seconds, to get back to where you were energetically, with traction, with momentum. It takes an average of 15 minutes to get back to the point of where you were. This is why I love not being in my office. For those of you know, I'm a couple thousand miles away from my office. And so for me, it's perfect because I used to get interrupted all the time, and my attention span is already small as it is. So try and figure out how to get rid of those distractions. So let me give you some examples. Email notifications, text messages, Facebook notification, Instagram's dinging you, Twitter, LinkedIn. What I just talked about with got a minute meetings. Hey, someone pops in and says, "Hey, you got a minute?" That distracts you. Put a sign outside your office and say, I'm in my focus time. When you are in your focus time and you don't want to be interrupted, which should be a lot of the time, put a sign on your office, have a process and system with your team that you have laser focus time that you need to yourself to get through these things. And there's so many more. So recently, I hired someone. It was probably about 6 months ago. She may be listening to this and she knows exactly who I'm talking about. But she has an iWatch or an Apple Watch, and I would see her look at her watch all the time. And I'm like, "What are you looking at with your watch so much?" And she had every single notification on her watch. So when she got an email, she knew who it was. When she got a text message, she knew who it was. And she, a woman handles that better because they have processes that sorry, I think my live just shut off. Anyway, so they have processes that, oh man, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, I got distracted there. See, exactly my point. I just got distracted and now it's going to take me 15 minutes to get back to where I was. So anyway, oh, I'm sorry. So the person that I'm talking about, they were interrupted all the time. And so I asked them what they were looking at, and they were looking at all of their messages. And so I had her take off all of her notifications. And as soon as she did that, she fought me on it. She said, I need to know when someone emails. I need to know when someone text messages so I can get back to them quickly. Well, that's not necessarily true, because those people can wait. And every time you get interrupted, it's time that you are taking away from your date. Every time you look at your watch, it's probably close. It's somewhere close to 15 minutes that you are not focused. And so getting those distractions out will help. And so anyway, so long story short, so she ended up doing that. She took her notifications off. She came back to me just like a day or two later, and she said, you don't understand how much more focused I am. I thought that I could go back and forth in between tasks and continue that focus. And so I know this works. I've done it for me. I've had so many other people do it. And I challenge you to turn off all of your notifications. I challenge you to do it for at least a day and see how much more focus and clarity you have. I guarantee you it is going to change the way you look at things. All right, so talk about high performance. Talk about getting things done and being so super focused that you feel like you know, there's those days when I used to work 16 hours a day. And now there's days where I work a few hours in a day. And there are some days that when I work a few hours in a day, I feel way more productive than I work an 18-hour day. And a lot of it has to do with all of these things that I'm talking about. But this right here can really help you to figure out how to get things done way more efficiently, because there are so many projects that we have as business owners that need to be accomplished, and we get distracted. So I'm going to talk about time blocking and work sprints. So these are periods of time blocked off for extreme focus on a task or a set of tasks. So if you've got something that's important, you need to time block time in your calendar so that you know when you're going to do it and that it's going to get done. There was a Harvard study that they took students and they said, we need you to do this task. I can't remember what the task was. So they gave half of the students, I think it was like 50 students, the task. And they said, come back on Monday and let us know how it went. And they gave another set of 50 students a task. And they said, we want you to come back on Monday, but make sure Friday at 10 a.m. you block the time to do this task. And it was like overwhelming how many more people when they time block, or how many students when they time block the time that they actually got it completed. It was like 3 to 4 times more students got the task done compared to those who did not time block. For me, it's the exact same thing. I know when I put it on my calendar, it's done. There's actually a saying that says that if it's not on your calendar, it doesn't exist. Meaning that if you don't put it on your calendar, it's probably not as important. It's probably not near as likely to get done. So make sure that if you have something that's super important, time block it, put it on your calendar, and make sure it gets done. I'll talk about chunk tasks here in a little bit. So time blocking and work sprints. So the term work sprint basically refers to when you have something that's hyper important, you don't just jump from task to task. You take that task and you sprint until you get to the finish line. Now, 50 minutes in running terms is obviously a long sprint, but you guys get the point, where you take something and you go as fast, and not as fast, but be as focused as you can in that one thing or one set of things, which I'll talk about chunk tasks here in a little bit, and get through that. So for instance, if you were to create a marketing plan and you want to get that done, use that as a work sprint. Sit down for 50 minutes, time block that time, and just get through as much of that marketing plan as humanly possible. Because what happens is less than 50 minutes can be very, what do you call it? Very, I guess, unfocused, for the lack of better terms I can come up with right now. And then once you get over 50 minutes, they say that your mind starts kind of declining. So it's diminishing returns. So they say 50 minutes is the amount of ideal time that when you have a work sprint or a time block, you jump into those things and you just go and you get through them. So something that may take you weeks to do, when you separate it up into smaller chunks of time, maybe you just sit down for 50 minutes and bam, you just blow through it and get it knocked out. And then rest and recover. So just like in football or any other activity, when you sprint, you need some time to recover. So the ideal amount of time that they say to rest and recover is about 10 to 15 minutes. So 10 to 15 minutes, rest and recover, and make sure that you have that time to regenerate. So rest and recover could be going on a walk. It could be going to the restroom, grabbing a drink of water. It could be whatever it is, just 10 to 15 minutes, get away from whatever it is that you were doing, rest and recover, and get back into a time block or work sprint or whatever it is that you're going to tackle next. All right, so now we're going to get into chunking tasks. So this is another way to take what you're doing and collectively put things together that have to relate to each other so that you're doing all of them at once. So I'll just do a quick example to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. So early on, when I started flipping properties 20 years ago, I would get text messages all the time and phone calls. A contractor would say, I need you to come look at this job. I need you to get me a check. And then once I would approve it, they would call and text message and be like, when's my check ready, right? So we created a process where we chunk together our inspections. We would say, turn your invoices in on Thursday. We will do all of our inspections on Friday. And then we write all of our checks on Monday. So we chunked writing all of our checks at one time, and we still do this process. And then Tuesday at 4 o'clock, you guys can pick up your checks. So that way we chunk together the inspections, we chunk together the check writing, we chunk together when contractors could pick up their checks. That way there's a process and system to it, and it's all done together. So again, these are doing similar tasks together. So some more examples. I already talked about bookkeeping a little bit, looking at properties, marketing. So I time block time to look at marketing reports. So chunking and time blocking can kind of go hand in hand. Another way that I chunk tasks together is when I get an email about something with, let's say, financials, like I need to look into something financial. I've got time blocked Thursday morning for me to look at financials. I have my email connected to Trello, which is a project management system, and I'll talk about that next week in a training. It puts it into that Trello project management folder so that on Thursday morning, I know to look at that. So that way, if it has something to do with QuickBooks or online or whatever it is, I can, on Thursday morning, jump into QuickBooks, jump into my online bank accounts, and do all of those tasks at once. Because when I talk to real estate investors, it seems like, like I said, with just writing checks, like I've had people say, you know what, I can't do Thursday morning. Or something came up, a contractor needs a check, something like that. And I talked to him about this process. And so I see a lot of people just jumping up and logging into, let's say, QuickBooks, which by itself could take 5 or 15 minutes. You write one check, you have to log back out. You may have just spent 15 minutes writing that one check. Whereas if you chunk it together with a bunch of other checks in 15 minutes, you may be able to get 100 checks done, right? So that's the power of chunking, is doing all of those at once so that you can, do a sprint with them, laser focus, and get them all done at once, as opposed to trying to get a bunch of these random tasks done throughout the week that have to do with each other. So doing reports, this is a good one too, meeting at coffee. So if I've got, obviously meeting at coffee shops right now during COVID is a little bit different, but as I'm recording this. But when I do meetings, rather than spreading them all throughout the week, I will designate blocks of time where I meet with people. So kind of like I talked about on productivity days, those are my productivity days. But I will meet at the same coffee shop with different people back to back. So that way I don't have to leave. And I do that on Zoom as well. So with coffee shops, so I pick a coffee shop, someone wants to meet, I'll be like, I've got a time block at 3 o'clock, 3 to 3:30, we can meet. Then if someone else wants to meet, come at 3:30. So that way, Parkinson's law, when someone comes in, I say, I've got 30 minutes to accomplish whatever we need to accomplish. My next meeting is going to be here in 30 minutes. That allows you to make sure you're done in 30 minutes. That person knows your agenda gets pushed forward quicker. And then when that next person comes, I don't have to drive to another coffee shop. I don't have to do a bunch of stuff in between. I shake hands with the person that I just met with. Then I start my next meeting. I actually did that yesterday on Zoom. I had, I think like 4 meetings back to back to back. So I put on my Zoom, I opened up the room, and I would tell the person 3 o'clock, we have to be done at 3:30. Someone else is going to be coming in Zoom. And when they come in, we've got to end our meeting. And sure as heck, we were productive. We were hyper focused. And those 30-minute meetings probably would have taken an hour had I not done that. And it made it more efficient because I could just do those meetings back to back to back to back to back. So that's the power of chunking tasks. So I just talked about Zoom. So my question to you is, what things do you do that are similar that could be done together at one time to maximize efficiency? I guarantee you, if you look at what you're doing, whether it's bookkeeping, whether it's marketing, whatever it is, you can figure out how to chunk those tasks together and make it so that it's way more optimal. You sprint through them a lot quicker. And again, if you think about it, it's like let's go back to the writing checks example. If you're writing 10 checks throughout the week and you go into QuickBooks, let's say, and it takes you 10 minutes to log in every time, 10 to 15 minutes to get into it, that could take you an hour and a half to do those checks. Whereas if you chunk them together, do all those checks at once you're logged in, you can do all those checks in 5 to 10 minutes. So these are the things that I'm talking about that will help you to free up your time so that you guys can spend more time on your businesses instead of working so much in your businesses. All right, so that's what I've got for you guys today. So I'm going to, let's see, where am I at? I've got 10 different screens up here. So I'm going to stop my share on Zoom. If I can find Zoom. Let's see here. Give me a second, guys. Sorry, I got to get out of presentation mode. There we go. All right, stop my share. So I see some of you guys on here. I'll just do a little Q&A with you guys. I think I saw at least one question come through. So give me some feedback, guys. What's going on? How are you guys doing? What good things did you get out of this? Anything you guys want to talk about before I jump off? Why can't I open it? There we go, chat. What's up, Olin? Good to see you. Part of our mastermind group, and look forward to meeting you when I can be in town. Jeremy Faust, are you still on here? Good to see you, buddy. Matthew, do you give your contractors a set time on Tuesday they can pick up their checks? Absolutely. So again, we write our checks on Monday. We tell them Tuesday they can pick them up at 4 o'clock. So typically between 4 and 5 is when all of our contractors come in and pick up our checks all at one time. So there's no question about it. It's not calling at 1 o'clock, are your checks ready? Your checks ready? They know by now, over the last 15 years that we've been doing this, some of them haven't been with us quite that long, but they know that that's the time they come pick them up. So there's no question about it. If you've got other things that can be chunked, inspections the same way, it's like, I'm going to do inspections from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays. Let me know what times work for you for me to come. And then they know that that's your inspection period. So they're not calling you Wednesday and saying, come inspect, I need a check. Those are just the little things that will help you to get a process together that you're not having to answer so many phone calls, so many text messages, and that kind of thing. So Jeremy asks, what does your marketing review consist of? So I am continuously refining our process. So right now we're actually going through and refining that whole process. So it's interesting that you asked that question, because we just came up with a whole new reporting for all of our people. So from a marketing perspective, we do TV, we do radio, we do Facebook, we do Google, we do YouTube ads. We're not doing as many mailers right now. So we have a lot of different things that we do from a marketing perspective. So I just hired a new virtual assistant. I'm making her responsible for those reports. In fact, I just yesterday, literally, we went through all those reports, refined them. I gave her who's responsible for those. So she knows that first Monday of every month, we will review the previous month, and we will look at our YouTube ads. We will look at our Google, and we have people that are responsible for that. So I've got a guy that does all my Google ads. I have a guy that does all my YouTube ads. I've got a guy that does all my Facebook ads. And that's all that they do is those ads. They're a third-party company. So I set up a spreadsheet for them that has metrics. It's what's the cost per view, cost per click, cost per lead, cost per acquisition. So we can go through those and look from a yearly view, January, February, March, April, May, what those metrics are. So I don't necessarily have to dive into all the little details. I can look at my spreadsheets and see where we are from a marketing standpoint in anything that we're doing. So if I see like, hey, January, we were $2 cost per click. Now in April, we're $10 cost per click. What's going on? So those are the things that I look at, are things from a high level perspective. So I look at cost per, like I said, view, click, acquisition. And then the biggest thing is return on investment. So if you've got multiple marketing mediums, which most of you guys do, you've got to look at all of your marketing mediums and see what it is on a month-to-month basis that returns the most on your money. There was a time where we were spending $12,000 a month in TV. And we lagged at least a few months. I was transitioning people from different jobs, and we didn't look at our ROI on TV ads for several months. And once we got back into it, I looked at it and I realized we were spending it was somewhere between 3 and 6 months. I can't remember the time frame. We were spending that amount of money on TV, and it wasn't returning what it used to. We used to get, I think it was, I may be fudging the numbers here, I think it was like $3,000 cost per deal on TV. And then all of a sudden it went up to like close to $10,000 per deal on TV. And we weren't consistently looking at it for a few months. So those are the things that I like to look at from a high level perspective, because if you're looking at your metrics, when they vary quite a bit, if you can see from like January to March, it's like, man, the numbers look good. And all of a sudden the next 2 or 3 months, something changes. You've got to have that data so that you can adjust and adapt to whatever's going on. So it could be other people are doing TV ads. There could be a lot of other things that are coming into play that need to be adjusted. So I know that was kind of a long answer to your question, but that's what I use for marketing. I do that for a lot of things. I do that for financials, where I look at what is our cash from month to month, what is our profit and loss each month. And I just have these one-page reports in a lot of different areas of my business that I can look at that as a dashboard and make high-level decisions based on that, as opposed to having to dive into a lot of different details. So Olin asks, how do you communicate with your team in Wichita, or whenever you make sure everyone is up to date and on the same page every morning? So we've got different meetings set up. So So for those of you who don't know, I'm in San Diego. My team's in Wichita. I've been here for about 5 years now, so I manage my team remotely. So like I just said, I've got different reports that I can pull up at any point in time to kind of give me high level perspective on the business. And then I've got different people that manage different departments. So someone manages the project management department. Someone manages property management. Someone manages, a lot of different areas of our business. So I look at those reports on sometimes a weekly basis, but usually a monthly basis. And then we have team meetings scheduled throughout the week. So I've got multiple businesses. So my community manager, Kelsey, some of you guys know, we meet every Monday at 11 a.m. my time. And then we've got 2 different huddles we do throughout the week. And a huddle is basically just a really short team meeting that's like, what do you have going on today? What do you need help with? And we just touch base on different things. And if someone has a question, they ask the question at that point, they get it answered, as opposed to having to maybe go back and forth on email. So I've got 2 team huddles. And then I also have a meeting with my project and office manager, Tina, on Wednesday mornings. And we go through what properties are on the market, what properties are coming up, how's everything going with the projects that are being managed? Are they on time? Are they on budget? Are there any obstacles? So we'll meet for about an hour, hour and a half. And those are very, I say very structured. We can kind of get off base sometimes, but we have a structure of our team meetings where everybody gives a 5-minute update. So there's usually 3, sometimes 4 people on the call. Everybody gives a 5-minute update. We create an agenda for all the things that people listed as issues that need to be discussed. We go through those issues. We all go through our one thing that we need to accomplish this next week that's the most important. We also, sometimes I forget to do this, but we talk about gratitude, or what we call positive focus. So bringing something positive that's going on in your life or business that you want to bring to the team. So to answer your question, I structure it into team meetings where we have structured things that we talk about. And then we have reports and metrics that we look at to make sure that we kind of stay on task. So hopefully I answered your question there. Do you do marketing and financial reviews weekly or monthly? So I have a CPA. So I have 2 people that handle the books. So I've got my person in the office that manages, that writes checks and does some of the administrative stuff on the back end. And then I have a CPA that comes in once a month, and he will balance all of the checking accounts. He will pay off all the credit cards and all of our Lowe's and all the other accounts that we have, and basically gets everything up to date every single week. So that way at the end of the year, it's not like, hey, we've got to, redo a bunch of things and go through that whole process of cleaning a bunch of stuff up. So I've got a system for him to come in and fill in a cash flow worksheet, a metrics worksheet, and then he will send me profit and loss statements for every single company. He will send me, and I have a whole list for him. So it's balance sheet, profit and loss by month. What else am I missing? Oh, checking ledger for each business that week. So literally, I can pull up that. Email that he sends, click on the PDFs, and if I need to really do a deep dive, which I do about once a month. So once a week, I'll just pull up the statements. I can look at them literally within 5 minutes. Like, okay, is there anything off of the checking account? Is there anything off of the cash flow? What did we make on this property that we closed on last week? So it'll take me anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes to do that. And then if I want to deep dive, I will. And then about once a month, I'll try and deep dive into everything to make sure that there's not something that's out of line. So that's financials. And then from a marketing perspective, I don't do it quite once a month. I probably should, but it's probably more like every 2 to 3 months. But that's actually why my virtual assistant and I got this process together, is we've got better reports now that we are going to do every month. But I actually do meet with my YouTube, Facebook, and Google guy every 2 weeks, because we're spending quite a bit of money in that. And some of the stuff is newer implementing. So we'll go through in 30 minutes and look through all the ads. I'll ask him questions, go through cost per click, go through the ads, see how they're performing, and then give him a list of adjustments that need to be made. So I hope that kind of answered your question there. Cool. Good questions, guys. All right. I will give you guys another minute or two if you want to jump on and ask any questions. If you guys want to jump on and talk, just let me know. Just say, hey, I want to talk, and I can probably bring you in as a panelist if you want. We can chat and conversate. I've got about 10 or 15 minutes here blocked off for you. So thanks for joining. Debbie, good to see you again. I've got some questions popping up I'll answer here in a second, but I just want to say hi to Debbie real quick. Dustin, what's up? Thanks for joining. Jeremy, as like I said, good to see you, man. Haven't talked to you in a long time. Kelsey, we talk every day almost now, so I'm not going to say hi to you. Just kidding. Maddie, what's up? Maddie and Matthew. I think I'm talking to Matthew later today. Owen, thanks for the questions and joining. Yeah, Debbie. We need to catch up. It's been a couple years. Debbie was at my mastermind in Vegas a couple years ago. We met for the first time. And my account got hacked, if you remember. Someone sent an email to my team. So Debbie's a cybersecurity person. She talked about how we needed to make our emails more safe and all that kind of stuff. And literally, I'd never had it happen. 2 days later, we had an email that someone tried to get my office to wire money for a closing that we weren't really having. So anyway, little backstory there. So someone asked, do I follow the EOS traction system? So EOS, for those of you guys know, EOS is entrepreneurial operating system. It's from a book called Traction. I implement some of Traction. I don't implement all of it. So for those of you who don't know, it's basically a way to run your business. So Traction and EOS has different ways that you run meetings, different ways that you report all of your business metrics and things of that nature. So I don't necessarily implement Traction itself, but I implement a lot of things similar to Traction. So in our meetings, like I talked about, we have our 5-minute updates, which I think Traction does the same thing in their meetings. We have a lot of similar things. So we have structured meetings. So we do have that. And then we have different reports, like I've talked about in our business, that allow me to just look at things from a high level. And then Traction also talks about like big rocks and quarterly meetings and stuff like that. And we implement some of that as well. We have quarterly meetings, do quarterly goals. We do yearly goals and that kind of thing. So yeah, we do implement some of that, but we don't do it by the book. I actually thought about hiring an EOS implementer. I think 3 or 4 of them. So if you guys don't know Traction, I would read that book. That is awesome. And I know a lot of real estate investors that have businesses like mine that implement that and really love it. So I think it's great if you get your hands on that book. You could probably implement a lot of it yourself. But if you really want to do it the right way and really have accountability, then you may want to hire a Traction person. It just depends on how disciplined you are. I think they charge anywhere from, minimum of $10,000 to, I've heard of, $25,000 for a year to implement it. So if you've got a big team, it's definitely worth the investment. If you have a small team, I don't know that would necessarily be worth the investment. As long as you guys are disciplined and follow some of the things they have in the book, it should bring some really good value to you. All right. What else? You guys got anything else for me? All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining me. So hopefully next week, Debbie says real estate industry needs to hear these things and definitely look forward to catching up. So we will be sending you a note soon. Bring it, Debbie. Send me an email or send me a text. We'll schedule a call and catch up. So yeah, thanks for joining, guys. So next week we will be covering systems and automation. We're going to go over project management systems, operating procedures, some tools I use in my business that help me to be way more efficient and streamline processes and how to get organized. So Look forward to seeing you guys next week. If you are signed up for this week, you are signed up for next week. And I'll be jumping on Zoom and doing the same thing with you for the next couple weeks. One more question here I'll answer. Speaking of scheduling, do you have an ideal weekly schedule that you don't mind sharing? Sure, I'll share that. So I'll go from Monday to Friday. This isn't exact. So Monday is my productivity day. So if you remember the productivity day, it's basically the days that you have your meetings that you're doing dollar productive activities. So for me, that's team meetings. So for me, I don't directly do a lot of direct dollar producing activities, meaning I don't meet with buyers and sellers and things of that nature. So I meet with my team so that they can go do those dollar productive activities. So actually 9 a.m. I have a accountability partner. I just started that. So accountability partner, we go over what are the 3 top things that we're going to do this week professionally. What are the 3 things that we're going to do this week personally? And we spend 20 to 30 minutes going over those and keeping each other accountable. So that's the start to my week. And then 11 a.m. I've got my meeting with Kelsey, who is my community manager at Strategic Workspace. So we go over things that are going to be happening for the week. At 12, I meet with my virtual assistant that I just hired. So we're meeting every day about the same time every day so that I can get her trained and up to speed on the things that we're doing. And then I think I may be missing something else on Monday, but I think I leave actually the Mondays open to kind of after my meetings, because that from like 9 o'clock to about 1 or 2, I've got meetings. So my productivity days, I still leave times open for just open work. And then Tuesdays are my open days. So today, this is the only thing I do on my open day. So the only thing I have scheduled today is this. Unfortunately, I did send a calendar invite to a few people. So I did have a couple people schedule a call later today, which isn't a big deal. I've got a lot of open time today to focus on just clearing up emails, clearing up my desk, getting organized in Trello, which is my project management system, and that type of thing. Wednesday is another productivity day. So I've got a team meeting at 9 a.m. I've got another meeting set at 10 a.m., my virtual assistant at 12 p.m., and I think that's all that I have continuously scheduled for that day. Oh, I'm sorry, marketing. I do have that blocked off on my calendar, so I will get into marketing if I feel like I need to that week. And then Thursday, I've got time blocked at 9 a.m. to do financials. So that way, when my bookkeeper or CPA sends financials on Tuesday, if I don't get to them on Wednesday, then I've got time block on Thursday to go into the financials that I need to, answer questions that anybody had throughout the week on financials, and go through that. So really, that's all I have scheduled on Thursday. And then Friday, I have a chiropractor appointment. And I think there's something else I schedule on Friday. Going back to Thursday, I have my daily huddle. So Tuesday and Thursday, or I think it's Tuesday and Thursday, I have my huddles, which take about 30 minutes. So that's kind of my weekly schedule. It varies a little bit. Sometimes I will take a day that I had a bunch of stuff scheduled and I'll just clear it out and make an open day. And then some days I have huddles that my team gets on that I've talked to my team a bunch already, the previous day, and I'll just say, hey, by the way, guys, we're going to cancel our huddle. And because there's no need, because we've talked a bunch, already this week kind of thing. So I have, financials time blocked. I have team meetings time blocked. I have huddles time blocked. I have workouts time blocked in the morning. I have chiropractor time blocked. And I also took up pickleball. So for those of you who like pickleball, I try and do 2 hours of pickleball during the week and on the weekends. And then on the weekends, I keep my schedule completely clear and have those as off days. And every once in a while, I'll take an hour on Saturday, maybe, and like clean up emails and stuff like that. But I try and take 2 full days off every single week. And I'm gonna up that to 3 full days here pretty soon. All right, cool. So thanks again for joining. Matthew, I will talk to you later today. Hopefully I'll see Maddie on there as well. If not, I'll talk to you, Matthew. So again, see you guys next week. If you guys need anything, give me a shout out. And also, I'm going to, actually, I'll just send it out. If you guys could leave a review on Google, that'd be awesome. I'd really appreciate that. So again, hopefully I'll see you guys next week, and we'll be in touch with a lot of you guys. Have a good one.